Welcome to the Global Peace Film Festival Lives Online 2021 Festival Edition. Check out peacefilmfest.org for updates on the 2021 festival running September 20th through the 26th for in-person screenings and September 27th through October 3rd for virtual streaming. Please join me, Kelly Devine, the artistic director, and Nina Strike, the executive director, in welcoming Shawn Kornhauser, the filmmaker behind Emile, which you can watch starting September 27th, running through October 3rd as part of the GPFF 2021 Virtual Film Festival. Welcome, Shawn. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here.
And first of all, tell us about the film, Shawn.
Yeah, so Emile, our film, follows Emile Bruno, who was a neuroscientist and a lecturer, researcher at the Annenberg School for Communication at the University of Pennsylvania. He was also a founder. He established the Peace and Conflict Neuroscience Lab, which was a lab that, I think in their own words, they were putting science to work for peace. That was their mission, and I would say his mission. And the film is a portrait, I would say, of Emile. Unfortunately, fairly early in life, Emile basically discovered on his own that he had a brain tumor, which he basically was self-diagnosed almost. He just sort of recognized some headaches, some symptoms that he knew as a neuroscientist were not great signs, and he was correct, and he had a brain tumor. It was glioblastoma, unfortunately, which is a very deadly form of brain cancer, and he had some work to do once he found that out, and he wanted to keep making work, keep doing research, and he had some videos that he was interested in making, which we connected with, and so we made a series of videos as well as this film, which in it he discusses a lot of the work he was doing and was interested in, and really what my goal was to kind of profile a person sort of facing this incredibly difficult point in their life, facing their own mortality, and how does one even do that, and how is Emile doing that? And well, I don't want to give away too much in the film because it is just such a special delight to see how he really faces this unbelievable challenge in his life. But that's basically what's at the core of it.
Shawn, what attracted you to this story? How did you discover this story? And can you speak about the importance that you identified about this profile?
Certainly. Well, I guess I'd say a few things, but practically what drew me to it is I had just begun a position as a video producer at the Annenberg School, and pretty immediately I was being told of this person, Emile, and he was spoken about in such a lofty way. Everyone was telling me how special this gentleman was, just what a magical presence he has as he enters the room. And it honestly got to a point where I was like, all right, come on, who is this guy? And had my doubts, and then one day he came into our office and I met him, and sure enough, everyone was right. He was just this incredibly special person. It's just very obvious immediately. Hard to describe, but I think everyone knows when you meet one of these people, you just kind of know. And I was very taken with him, very engaged in what he had to say, and then learned about his condition. And he said he had some ideas, and I just was telling him, whatever you want, I want to do it. And I discussed it with the people in my office. The producer, Julie Sloan, she just said, whatever Emile wants, go for it. And so on a practical level, that's kind of what connected me to Emile. On a more, I don't know, conceptual level, perhaps, there were a couple things. I mean, obviously, Emile was mostly interested in sharing his work. That was the goal. He wants to put his work, share it with the world, share his mission. And I obviously wanted to support that. But as a filmmaker and documentarian, I was to be honest, mostly interested in him and his path that drew me in. It's just what an unbelievable position to be put in, to be so motivated and excited to share your work, but to know definitively that it is going to be cut short. That to me was just unbelievable, and the attitude and the spirit he had while facing that. Even before we really got into the project, it was just immediate. He was already in that place, in that headspace when I met him, and that also kind of drew me in. So I would say, of course, the work he was doing is, you know, incredibly important, the most important work. So I was very drawn to that. But as someone who often makes films that are portraits, I love making portraits of people. I was drawn to him and how he was facing this moment in his life.
Well, I have to congratulate you having seen the film, and I really encourage everyone to watch it, that you did beautifully capture that magic. It comes through. So sometimes the camera doesn't capture that charisma, but you really did a beautiful job. So I want to, you know, thank you for that. 'Cause he's a beautiful presence, and you allowed that to come through.
I appreciate that so much. But to be honest, I mean, I do appreciate that, and I feel proud of what I did, but it was not hard. You know, Emile did the heavy lifting. Just, you know, I don't want to simplify it too much, but at some points it does just feel like I got it easy. I got to hit record and let this person be on camera, and it's gonna work. And he, you know, he just has that energy, and that it's just, like you said, it's a beautiful spirit. And the fact that I was able to capture it and not screw it up too much, that's high praise. So I'm very glad it felt that way too.
That's great. And you mentioned, you know, the importance of Emile's work, which lives on, and the work of the Global Peace Film Festival. What we try to do is to provide models and to present ideas to our audiences that they can take into their lives, back into their own communities, to work towards making the world a more just and peaceful place. You know, what would you, you know, how would you speak to how your film, you know, could be part of that mission?
For sure. You know, I thought about this because it's tricky, because I myself, I'm a filmmaker. I do not work in peace and conflict research, so I don't want to, you know, speak for people who are experts in the field. But having spent some time with Emile, my hope is that people that walk away from this film will take with them his message of, really, I think at the core of his work was empathy, was you know, walking through life with a feeling of empathy. And you know, he also dealt in meta perceptions and dehumanization and all these ideas that dealt with, in my mind, not assuming the worst of people, engaging with people that you differ with, and not just presuming that they think the worst of you, which can often lead to conflict. So yeah, on a practical level, I think those are ideas, those are concepts that people could walk away from after watching this film. But really, as Emile said when we were making it, as I've already said, the whole goal of all of this is to just share his work and his ideas. So as much as I can try to summarize his decades of incredible work in a couple sentences that I'm not really that experienced with, I would say look up his work, which the Peace and Conflict Research Lab at Annenberg is really where he put a lot of his time. So that's kind of the main space. And you know, just looking up any of his writings, that's really the best I can do, because my whole goal with this is, again, just to promote Emile's work. Me sending it to this lovely film festival, me putting it on the internet, everything behind it is to promote Emile Bruno's work. That's the ultimate goal. So the more I can I'm just going to keep repeating his name and his groups, hoping people, it just catches in their ears. So that, I think that's the best I can do as far as giving people guidance about what to take away from this film.
Well, that's very very useful, and we will encourage people to look for Emile's work. And so, what's next for you, Shawn? And how can our audiences support your work, which I know at least some of what you're going to say is reflecting back to Emile?
Yeah, I mean, my hope is to I'm a video producer at the Annenberg School, and my hope, honestly, I mean, that was just it was an early project for us, and it's just a high mark to have hit early on. So I don't know if we'll be able to repeat that kind of quality and such an interesting topic. But my hope, they do a lot of research at Annenberg that is in a similar vein of what Emile's doing. So my hope is to continue producing films that relate at least somewhat to the work Emile was doing. It might not be so specifically, directly related, but I would love to just keep making films of that nature. And how to support it, I don't think I have a direct way. I'm not looking for, I'm not trying to raise funds at the moment, but I think just looking out for the Annenberg School for Communications films and videos, that's really the best folks can do to support me. I do have a website, but I think that's listed in the slide. But the Annenberg School is where most of my work is being laid out currently. And so I don't have a, COVID, obviously, we didn't get into, COVID really threw a wrench in this whole process. We really fit it in. And there was a lot more I wanted to do with Emile, but, it got a little difficult to be shooting with people. So at the moment, I would say it's still a little tricky to be filming with humans. So hopefully we'll be able to get back into the swing of things soon.
Well, Shawn, I really appreciate that. And now that you are part of the Global Peace Film Festival filmmaker family, we will definitely be in contact with you to remain updated about all your films and to share those updates with our larger family. And I want to thank everyone who's been watching. Again, to learn more about our programming, please go to peacefilmfest.org for updates on the upcoming festival this September, where you can see Emile, and also for our year-round events. Please follow us on our social media channels and consider joining our newsletter. If you follow us on our social media channels, that's exactly where you would find those updates throughout the year, where we might find some news about Shawn's latest work and post that. So if you enjoy this conversation, please do consider keeping track of us through those vehicles. And again, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next Glow.